No one saw this coming. After the German MotoGP, Marquez was reportedly just as shocked as everyone else by Jorge Martin's bold decision to publicly criticise Aprilia, the team that helped elevate his career. Martin's comments immediately sparked intense discussions throughout the paddock and left many wondering whether the Spanish rider's relationship with his team had started to deteriorate. So what exactly did Jorge Martin say that left Marquez and the entire MotoGP paddock stunned? Let's discuss. Jorge Martin still leads the 2026 MotoGP World Championship standings. However, tensions inside the Aprilia garage are beginning to rise after the reigning world champion openly criticised the RSGP, claiming it has lost the performance that made it so competitive earlier this season. Martin made those remarks during the German Grand Prix weekend at Sachsenring. What made the situation so surprising was not only the criticism itself, but also the timing and the place where he chose to deliver it. Martin voiced his concerns in front of the Aprilia factory team, rival riders, and the international media at a time when the championship battle is entering its most decisive stage. Rather than blaming the injuries that disrupted his career last season, or admitting that his own performances had declined, Martin insisted that the main reason for his recent struggles is the motorcycle itself. Just a few rounds ago, Jorge Martin looked completely comfortable at the top of the championship standings. Now, the situation has changed dramatically. The 2026 MotoGP title fight has become tighter than ever, with the top 5 riders separated by just 24 points. The biggest threat comes from Marquez, who has been in sensational form over the last several races. After trailing by more than 100 points earlier in the season, Marquez has mounted an incredible comeback and now sits only 18 points behind Martin. The momentum is clearly on the Spanish star's side. At the German Grand Prix, Marquez completed a perfect weekend by winning everything, while Martin could only manage a 5th-place finish. That result has made Martin's championship lead look far less secure. When the championship leader keeps getting beaten by his closest rivals weekend after weekend, the points advantage is no longer a comfortable cushion. It becomes a countdown to losing the lead. Martin is fully aware of that reality. Looking back a few months, Jorge Martin actually enjoyed a phenomenal start to the season. He won the sprint race in the United States, completed a double victory at the French Grand Prix in Le Mans, and consistently turned the Aprilia into the most feared bike on the grid. Thanks to that remarkable run of results, Martin built the championship lead that he still holds today. Since then, however, the victories have slowly disappeared, not because of a major crash, not because of a new injury either. Instead, Martin's performance has gradually declined. After regularly fighting for wins and podium finishes, he has found himself struggling to stay at the front, often finishing only inside the top 5. Many observers believed the decline was simply a lingering effect of the serious injury he suffered last season, arguing that he still needed more time to regain his race pace. But Martin completely disagrees with that assessment. During the press conference at Sachsenring, he revealed that the motorcycle he is riding today is very different from the one that carried him to victory earlier in the season. I think we're now a long way from the bike we had at the beginning of the season in Austin, Brazil and Le Mans. That statement carries enormous significance. Martin wasn't talking about just one disappointing weekend. He was saying that the Aprilia he is riding today has changed so much that it has lost the characteristics that once made it competitive. In other words, according to Martin, the motorcycle that helped him build his championship lead is no longer the same machine he is riding now. Martin then explained what he believes is the root of the problem. He said that every race weekend, the technical team makes extensive changes to the bike's setup in an effort to adapt it to the unique characteristics of each circuit. According to Martin, that approach has actually become the problem. On our side of the garage, we've always tried to adapt the bike to the characteristics of each circuit to help me. But maybe that's not the right approach for Aprilia. His remarks were more than just criticism of a single bike setup. Martin indirectly questioned the development direction Aprilia's engineers have pursued throughout the season. He even suggested that the working method used by his side of the garage may have been fundamentally flawed. What further strengthened Martin's criticism was his admission that he is no longer the fastest Aprilia rider. According to Martin, his pace has fallen well behind the other Aprilia riders. That makes the situation even more complicated. If every Aprilia rider was struggling, the blame could be placed on the bike as a whole. But that simply isn't the case. The other Aprilia riders have actually been much more competitive. Even Iogura, riding for Aprilia's satellite team, has impressed throughout the season and has emerged as one of Martin's main rivals in the championship standings. That suggests the problem is not with the RSGP in general. Instead, it appears to lie with the bike specification or development direction created specifically for Jorge Martin. Martin's comments also caught the attention of Marc Marquez. Although he did not directly respond to the substance of his rival's criticism, Marquez admitted that he was surprised because it is rare to see a championship leader openly criticize his own bike in public. According to Marquez, riders and teams usually resolve technical issues behind closed doors to preserve trust within the garage. That's why Martin's public claim that Aprilia's development direction is responsible for his drop in performance sends a clear signal that the problem is genuinely serious. Marquez understands that every rider has a different way of giving feedback to the team. However, he believes Martin's decision to reveal everything to the media was a bold move, especially with the championship battle entering its most critical stage. When the rider leading the championship starts talking like that, you know something is going on. Normally, things like this never become public, Marquez said. The 8-time world champion also believes Martin is facing enormous pressure. On one hand, he must defend his lead in the championship standings. On the other, he is still trying to rediscover the bike's best performance. According to Marquez, situations like this can affect the entire dynamic within a team, because every development decision could ultimately determine the outcome of this year's title fight. Aprilia now finds itself in a very difficult position. If the team follows Martin's requests and changes the bike's development direction, only for Martin to start winning again, then his criticism will have been proven right. But if Aprilia sticks with its current concept and Martin ultimately loses the World Championship, every statement he has already made publicly will serve as evidence that he warned the team long before it was too late. MotoGP 2026 has now entered its most decisive phase. Marc Marquez continues to build momentum and has significantly reduced the points gap in the championship. Meanwhile, Jorge Martin has suffered a noticeable drop in performance, which he believes is the result of changes to the bike's characteristics. If Aprilia can rediscover the RSGP setup that worked so well at the beginning of the season, Martin still has an excellent chance of holding on to the championship lead. Do you think Aprilia has the courage to admit they made a mistake in the direction of their bike's development? Share your thoughts in the comments below.